and it's the same garbage. It's November, and our football teams are dead and buried. We got a lot to talk about. The Giants embarrassed themselves at MetLife Stadium. We'll let you know about our experience. I have some undercover audio of Sean Morass watching that mess. Did Brian Daboll cry at his press conference yesterday? And Aaron Glenn is back sparring with the media over who the quarterback should be. Tiki Barber, that was fun yesterday, wasn't it?
Not at all. It wasn't fun in any capacity, except for the first drive of the game, which was outstanding because they were patient and took what was given to them. And then they decided to rush everything. Look, I think Brian Daboll has a leadership problem. And I'm not talking about Brian Daboll himself. I'm talking about this team. Because there's a dichotomy that you're starting to see from a leadership perspective. You have Jaxson Dart on the offensive side of the ball who does everything he possibly can to try to win these football games, to try to get his guys going, to try to make plays, whether it's with his legs and taking hits and leaning in headfirst sometimes into contact to making pinpoint throws, which unfortunately sometimes these guys drop. But you feel the leadership. Like you feel Jaxson Dart saying, get on my back, let's go. We're going to go try to win this game. And then you get the other side of the ball where your best player, one of your best players, and Dexter Lawrence is just getting pushed around all over the field. It feels like there's an effort issue on the defensive side of the ball. And if it's not for Brian Burns, I mean, what the hell are you watching the defense? What can you say good about the defense other than Brian Burns, who's leading the league in sacks with 11? He had a big pass breakup on a third down. It was a screen. It probably would have went for 30 more yards to Christian McCaffrey. Brian Burns is balling. But on the defensive side of the ball, it feels like there is an effort issue. They got asked about that over and over and over again. I wouldn't say it's effort because I think everybody out there, if you don't have effort, you're going to get hurt. But it feels like a want-to issue. And when you have one of your big leaders not showing the want to, and I'm talking obviously about Dexter Lawrence, then everything starts to fall apart, right? You take your cues from the best players. It's you can count on me every Sunday to give you the same effort that you saw when I was at my peak. And if it's anything short of that, then everybody else takes license to just, all right, I'm not going to lean into this tackle. All right, I'm going to get trucked by Brian Robinson and Deonte Banks, get my chest basically stepped on and embarrassed, and then walk out of the locker room with my pants down because I don't want to talk to anybody. Right? That is not winning football, and it's not a winning culture. And the problem for Dave, this is why I say it's a problem. In 2022, when he was a rookie head coach here, there was a mantra, and you heard it over and over and over again. You got to earn your playing time. I don't care who you are. I didn't bring you here. This is a new team. It's a new situation. You have to earn your right to play, which means every practice, every opportunity on the field, there has to be an urgency. He can't preach that anymore. And you know why? Because they're not good enough. Who you sitting down? You're going to sit somebody down and say, all right, third stringer who barely belongs on this team, go get your ass beat. It's a conundrum that he's in. It's obviously still his issue, but there is a massive, I think, leadership issue happening inside this locker room, and it only gets worse every time you lose a game as bad as you did like this past weekend.
And it gets worse when a game starts to get out of hand, because the one that jumped out at all of us was Deonte Banks getting run over by Brian Robinson.
Right.
And as I'm watching it, and give the MetLife Stadium TV crew a lot of credit, they showed the replay on the big screen, which I thought was interesting. It was like, all right, let's see that again just in case you missed it. But as I watched that...
How do we show we don't like you, even though we don't say we don't like you?
Right. How do we do that? As I'm watching that, and as I'm watching other things from this game where it appeared the effort wasn't there, I thought of Harry Truman. I thought of our former president, the great Harry Truman, because it'll make sense. It's actually going to cause us to maybe disagree.
Give us a history lesson then.
He had a thing on his desk, and the thing on his desk said, "The buck stops here." And so when I hear what you say about the lack of leadership in that room, I say, you're right. I can't disagree with you. And let's call them out by name. Dexter Lawrence is certainly a guy that should be brought up. But I always go back to the buck stops here. And that buck stops with the head coach and the general manager, who put these guys in position to be on the field and have a leadership role.
Right. No, you're 100% right about that. But I can't watch a football game and see Darius Slayton drop a obvious easy touchdown pass because he's worried about bracing himself on the fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but who paid him and put him out there?
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
But the ball's in your hands. He caught it.
I agree.
He caught it, and then he dropped it because he was like, oh, no, I'm going to hit the ground. Hit the ground, dude. Hold the ball. It's more important. Theo Johnson, who is still a young player, is in his second year. You can't get confused and drop passes like, do I turn my hands out? Do I turn my hands in? Do I just catch it in my chest? It was a perfectly thrown ball. He drops it on a big third down. You can't have the mistakes. You can't have John Michael Schmitz on one of Tyrone Tracy's first big runs. It's a gap scheme, which fits Tyrone's game. Pulling guards, you get out in front, you create lanes. He just completely whiffs on the kickback block, and Tyrone Tracy probably would have hit his head on the goalpost. It was such a wide open hole in play design. But John Michael Schmitz just missed. But you can't have these inferior efforts by everybody and then expect to win games. I think this team is good, but not anywhere close to being consistent enough to win games where they're in the same sphere, right? I think the San Francisco 49ers are a super well-coached team, and despite their plethora of injuries, they play at a high level, regardless.
Yeah.
Give Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh a ton of credit. But I don't see that with the Giants. So you're right. But to me, I can't help but look at the player.
No, I get that, and I think that's the different perspectives we have. You watched a game yesterday. We both watched the game yesterday, and you see the players' lack of effort or mistakes that they make.
Right.
And I see the same thing, but then I also get mad at the person who signed them. Like Joe Schoen signed.
This is the Sean Morash argument from 2 weeks ago.
Well, but he's not wrong. And maybe it's because I sat next to him for 3 hours. But when Darius Slayton screws up, like, you're right to be mad at Darius Slayton, Teak. I'm not disagreeing with you, but then I have a right, and certainly Giant fans have a right, to say, why did the GM pay him? Why did the GM pay him?
I guarantee him $39 million or whatever it was.
And when there's a lack of effort, and this goes in any sport, it does not matter. Whether it's basketball, I'm witnessing this right now, whether it's football or whether it's baseball, yeah, we're going to be mad at the players, rightfully so, and you should bring them up by name. But we're also going to say, what about the leadership of the organization? Like,
yeah,
you're right. Brian Daboll didn't cause Deonte Banks to say, hey, I'm going to get run over by Brian Robinson. But he's the head coach, and the buck stops here. And a game like yesterday on every level, I'm not even including the plane that went overhead, just everything you watched, that's the GM, the coach, and yes, the players. It's an everything problem. There are certain games in which you walk away and say, who am I mad at? Right. Am I mad at this guy? Am I mad at this aspect? I walk away from this game. When I left MetLife Stadium, I walked away saying, they all suck. The GM needs to go. The head coach needs to go. A lot of these quote-unquote leaders you talk about, they need to go. And what really boggled my mind as I left the stadium, as an IFO, because honestly, I went there, Sean will tell you, I was rooting for the Giants. You can't question that for a second.
Right. No, I can't. That was the most normal behaved I've seen Evan at a sporting event.
As I walked out, I had this weird feeling, and I think I'm going to represent a lot of Giant fans when I say this. I hate the coach. I hate the GM. I hate 90% of the roster, but by God, do I have a quarterback. And that's a weird feeling to have.
That's why it was so odd on the post game, as me and Schmelk and Bob Papa were talking about the game. Like, I didn't have an emotion. Like 2 weeks ago in Denver, I was pissed. Last week, actually, I was kind of pissed because of the penalties and the horrible refereeing that really impacted the game. This week, I felt almost resigned, and I don't know if that was because that felt like the energy that the team was giving off in the second half in particular. They made no stops. We couldn't really get anything going until those last couple of drives that were in garbage time. When you were so far down, it didn't matter. You didn't have enough possessions to really come back. But it felt resigned and just disappointed. It was the first time I felt disappointed. In Denver, I'm mad about a play. And in Philadelphia, I'm mad about lack of execution and run fits and getting beat up by the Philadelphia Eagles. But the Eagles are good and they're on the road. You're mad, but then you get over it. This week, you almost start to feel, like, what's the point? If the guys don't care, why do we care? Why do I care so much if you don't give a crap, Dexter Lawrence or Deonte Banks or whoever the hell it is? You have to care. You have to show it. And you see it, man. You see it on film. You see it on the game. Caring has a look to it.
Oh, yeah.
And offensively, and Jaxson Dart, he has it. Not enough other guys have it.
Well, that's the thing. There are a lot of guys on that football field, and there are guys, I'll call them out by name, who clearly care.
Yes.
Brian Burns is having a special season.
Oh, dude, he could be all pro this year.
He should be. I mean, and here's
the problem is the Giants stink, so no one's going to pay attention to the fact that he has 11 sacks.
And what would kill me if I'm Brian Burns, and I respect that Brian Burns ditched the media yesterday.
I do too. We talked about this afterwards because I don't know what he would have said.
Of course, because Brian Burns is the moment in this football game, and we'll get to every aspect, and we'll talk to you coming up, 888-808-1019. The moment of this game that caused me the most anger, pain, and laughing all at the same time was when Brian Burns single-handedly said, all right, boys, I'm going to give you another shot.
Right.
Because when he exploded on top of Mac Jones and it turned into they called it a fumble. We thought it was an interception.
Right.
But before that, thought it was a fumble.
Abdul Carter just can't get a stat.
I know. Poor Abdul Carter. The game had turned. Brian Burns basically could look at the offense and say, there you go, boys.
Gotcha.
There you go.
I got you
Theo
back.
Johnson, who just had a drop 30 seconds earlier. Here you go, boys. Make it a football game. Not that you're going to win, but make it a football game. And what we witnessed on those next 4 plays, 3 offensive plays that led to 0 yards, and then a missed kick by the kicker who finally showed up and then couldn't make a pretty straightforward kick, was almost like cutting Brian Burns' you-know-what's off.
Right.
So if I'm Brian Burns, you're damn right I'm not talking to the media because I'd be pissed off.
Yeah, they showed a shot of him right after the missed kick, and he was just disgusted. You could just see it.
How can he not be?
They picked up 0 yards on 3 plays and missed the kick. His face as he went to go get his helmet to go back on the field was just pure disgust.
So when you talk about leadership, and you're right, I look at Brian Burns, if he's listening today, and I don't think he is. Hey, Brian, you're excluded from this because you're doing everything you can. Jaxson Dart, you're excluded from this because you're doing everything you can.
Yeah, but the reality is you can't do that. You have to do more. If there's a void, you have to do more. And Brian Burns, who is clearly the leader that they should be galvanizing behind because he shows up every single game. Every game. He's got to go get these other guys in gear. He's got to go get emotional with them. And I don't know if that's his personality. He doesn't seem it. I know he's fiery on the field. I don't know if that's his locker room personality. And I feel like that's missing. There's an anger and a disappointment with mediocrity. There's a normalizing of this, and that's not okay. Because as soon as that becomes normal, then everybody's gone, right? People are going to get fired. Hiring all positions, including the head coach and general manager. That's what mediocrity presents and gives you as an organization. Period. It's as simple as that, and it starts on the field and trickles upwards.
It feels like the train has left the station over the last 2 weeks. It feels like that effort train, that want train that you talk about. It's left the station. I don't know if it was the Denver game that broke this team.
Maybe.
But there's a lot of brokenness in this football team, and it's everybody. I mean, I think every Giant fan agrees, not that you're going to do it today or you're going to do it tomorrow, but the GM and the coach haven't done a good enough job. The roster, the star players, or at least the leaders that you talk about, haven't done a good enough job. And here we are. They're 2-7, and even worse than 2-7, if you stayed yesterday at MetLife Stadium, whether it was watching the game on TV or at MetLife Stadium, you watched guys not care.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the really difficult thing to wrap your head around.
Yeah, because how can you not? It's a privilege to play this game. It's a privilege to do it in this city with this team and this organization and the history that's here. I know it's been bad as of late, but isn't that your opportunity to change it? To make yourself a legend? And some guys are trying to do that. Not enough of them are, though.
Let's get to your calls next. 888-808-1019, the number throughout the show.